Welcome, 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 world. It's good to see familiar friends from. I can't remember Quinton being that large, mind you. It's been a long time since I've seen him, but it's a long. I didn't realise he was that big.
We'll blame it on lockdown.
I'm sure he weren't that big before.
Yeah, a couple of stone, maybe one.
Welcome to the. It's me trying to be a woman and do three things at once. But welcome to the fourth Say It Louder event, and we're just getting bigger and bigger. And we've got lots of exciting news to give you about future Say It Loud. It's nice to see people I don't know, which is really good. It's nice to see Mr. Milise in London, Doc, Karen Scott, who I've never spoken to, but I see her everywhere. She's somewhere in America. She always says hello. All the way from Langtoft. Alison Mostyn. Gregory. Oh.
From Murfreesboro.
Oh. Later on. And Sommer. So if it's my inability to do two things at once. So, excuse me that. Right. Tonight it's been live on Facebook, live on Zoom. It's literally is going around the world. It's even reaching Langtoft, which is somewhere where nobody's heard of, except for me, because I had a lovely cake there the other day and pizza, so I'm remembering. What this is all about, Say It Louder. I'm just going to say it is because I am tired. I am so tired of people being surprised that black people are dying lives. They're going. I'm tired that still this is the 21st century and we're still talking about slavery. I'm tired. I'm so tired that I'm still saying my things. I've got a 26-year-old son and we're still crying because no one's equal. On the news today, I was so tired to find that a black man died and it was by police brutality and it was on page 22. It didn't even make the headline news. It did even the little cat, what the show at the end of the news, got ahead of another black man being killed. I'm tired about hearing people being killed by police brutality, not just in the USA, but not just in the UK, but in Europe, in West Africa, in Australia. I'm tired that I found out today 434 people have died in police cells in Australia. I'm tired that I've only just found that. And I always say that about Rosa Parks. The reason why she didn't get off the bus because she was so bloody tired of moaning about the same old thing. And so the premises, the mantra of Say It Louder is exactly that. We're not only going to say it louder, we're doing it louder. We're going to make a difference and make our passionate go. Looking around everywhere, I see some passionate people who are not just happy just watching the news and just watching it again and again and going, "Shut man, what was that?" There's a quote by Toni Morrison, rest in peace, where we don't just need heroic writers, we need heroic writers what are going to do something. And that's what we have here. Tonight we have Rohan Samuel from Croydon, London. We have Summer Jade, and these are like Say It Louder. I see more Summer Jade than I do of my own son. And Summer Jade will tell you where from. And it's a guest release, and I wish special guest is a man who was passionate about the stuff he does, and I'm going to let him introduce what he does later and what he does in the community, what he goes around knocking people with stickers to put on and raising awareness. across the East Midlands. And he's also been doing things for a great friend of mine, Dee Bailey, at Simple D's events. Quinton Green. So just to give you there will be an open mic later for you all. But first I'm going to just introduce, I'm going to go to Rohan. Are you there?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Huh?
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, my name is Rohan Samuel. I go by @poet_RS on Instagram. That's where you can catch me. And yeah, I'm a spoken word poet, teacher, youth mentor, an artist, painter, sculpture, photography. But really, no matter what my creative field is, my passion is to inspire and to bring about a domino effect of inspiration, positive inspiration. I use it through my words, through my spoken word poetry, and just like Gary's tired, I'm also tired, but at the same time, I'm using my tiredness to steer people to be alive to what's going on. So yeah, that's me, Rohan Samuel. Gary, thank you for having me on here as well. I really appreciate it.
It's a pleasure. Something I said at one of the community meetings I go to, is that I am not just tired, I'm old. It's Rohan and Sommer and Quinton. I need to be passing, I can't believe that I've got a 26-year-old and he's suffering the same things I'm suffering. So this is the generation, and there's expert people around like Mostyn and Allison who've been there, and wise old lantern. We should be passing this to do, and there's like picking up the arse and moving. All right, next I'm going to introduce you to Mr. Just cool, Summer Jade.
Hey everyone, how y'all doing? I am Summer Jade. You can find me on Instagram at s.jade_SummerJade. I'm a spoken word artist, lyricist, singer, songwriter, actress. I absolutely believe in speaking life or not speaking. I think oftentimes when you hear someone say speak life, that's they tend to think that it's mostly about encouraging, and it is encouraging, but speaking life is about speaking truth. I always refer back to John 14:6, where Jesus says, I am the way, the life, and the truth. There's no way for us to speak life and not speak truth. And there's no way for me to speak truth and not speak life. So I live by that. I stand by that. And I'm grateful to be a part of another event like this. More or less, like everyone that's on, we're all drained. We're all tired of everything that's going on. However, I think with us having an ability to create and to write, we possess a strength that some people need from us because they can't articulate what they're feeling without getting super duper angry. And it's not that we don't get angry. We just have been trained and tamed to take that anger into our spoken word and into our creativity so that we don't lash out in ways that other people do. So I believe also that it takes divine intelligence to do what I do. Therefore, I take no credit for this gift. These gifts absolutely belong to God. Everything I am is God. So I will never put anything above that. These are his. And that being said, it's imperative that we speak life, that we live life, and that we speak truth and live truth.
Summer, tell us where exactly you're from. I know because I've got the bio and everything.
So I'm in Nashville. My family and I, originally we're from Georgia, but I'm residing out here in Nashville, and most of the day, look, I'm spitting poetry or I'm Ubering or something, just having a blast. I'm just happy to be here, y'all.
Yeah.
See some faces outside of my own,
Oh, thank you. Can't wait. All right, before I introduce our next guest, I've got to sort of get my t-shirt on show. I don't know if it's because I'll see if I've got the back. And this goes out to Dee Bailey, about life in inner lockdown. Please follow her on Instagram, Simple D's event and everything. Which lends me over to, I'm looking forward to Quinton, who is doing a guest appearance for D's very soon. Clinton, where you gone? I can't see you. Oh, there you are. There you are.
Hi.
Clinton, over you. What's your name and where you come from, as Silla used to say?
Thanks. First of all, thanks, Gary, for having me, and hello to everyone that's in the room, particularly to Simply D's. Where are you? Hello, Simply D's. I think I've seen you pop up. My name's Quinton. I'm a spoken word artist called Mr. Milise. Mr. Milise is ancient Greek for he spoke. It means he spoke. I searched it in all different languages, but it just when they said online Milise, I just felt I'd go with that one. I felt that I needed to speak. I felt that I had a platform, and I felt that I should position myself as a voice for the voiceless, like Sommer, I think, was saying. You know, as poets and as creatives, we're in a position to be able to articulate some of the thoughts and feelings and frustrations of society, who might not necessarily be able to articulate it in a way that they wish to. So we do that. I've got an online charity called Knife Crime Victim Support. I started that off of the back of writing a poem called Knife Sentence, and it reached out to lots of people and resonated with many, and I felt that I wanted to start a charity as a victim of knife crime myself as well, and it's something that I've reflected on and felt that I needed to address and speak about as well. So that has evolved now into an educational side of things, MAP workshops, which is music, mentoring, arts and poetry, and we travel all across the country working with police forces and county councils, teaching youngsters creative writing, to be able to articulate exactly, to be able to do what some of them might not be able to. You know, lots of them love grime and they love drill, and there's very limited language. So we invite them to enrich their language, and that enables them to speak their truth and to open up. And in fact, you can actually assess children and young people by inviting them to write poetry and creative writing. So that's where I'm at.
Oh, thanks. Before I introduce our first act, can all the artists at some point put their Instagram, contact books, agents, pimps, whoever they need throughout the chat? Let's just go. And I will make, everybody said they didn't see what's on my back, and I will mention it again. But I'll need to get my every fact clause, because the person who's the author of this book is in the house, so I'll best get it right, and I don't want telling off by her. And with that, I'm going to welcome. It's sort of brand new, but it's on Spotify, this track. I might just nod, please. Just nod. I'm going to go over to Mr. Milise. Together we rise.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, this is called Together We Rise, and I wrote that after seeing the imagery across transatlantic and addressing racial disparity and systemic racism. And I think this is initially why Gary invited me today. But I'm just going to ask you actually to have there's a part where there's some crowd participation, some interaction. So if you feel comfortable, I'd love for you to join me. Okay.
Unmute yourselves, guys, please.
Together we rise. I'm seeing people marching and releasing karma on the corruption that devours the police department. Waving placards and paperboard signs. Faces traumatized, but together we rise. Fed up of these lies. Fed up of brutality. I've got a solid force with me though. John Boyega and Asher D. And actually, my kings and queens hold hands with me. We were on our knees for 8 minutes. Now everybody stand with me. Stand up for Stephen Lawrence. What happened to Mark Duggan? Justice for our American sisters and our brothers. We can't just stand by when they are killing our cousins. when George Floyd is on the floor, calling for his mother. I can't breathe. I can't breathe. And I can't believe you couldn't see his nose bleeding. Disgraced Officer Chauvin, why didn't you get off of him? And to the other overseers watching him coughing and choking, you're blocking up his airways. You're blocking up his airways. 46 is too young to be walking heaven's stairways. What will his mother say? Son, I weren't expecting you. God said I had to stay. I should have been protecting you. To every single mum who lost a son, I will say this. Every single one of us will wipe away your tears. Let's reclaim humanity and embrace togetherness. When we leave here today, I'll ask you all to remember this. We can do it peacefully and show them what protesting is. Everybody gathered here, show love to the person next to them. And tell our children they don't fit the description. They're not second-class citizens. They were born to be champions. So tell them they're talented, beautiful and handsome. And if they put their mind to it, they can literally do anything. From today, overstand. They will never be undervalued. And when they say, oi, black boy, tell them to say thank you. Enough is enough. It's been the same for too long. Rest in power, Eric Garner, Michael Brown, and Trayvon. Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor. Will the Louisville police tell us more about her murder? Shot down in a hail of 8 bullets is disgusting. They were looking for a suspect who was already in custody. Hold up your hands if you're with me. Somebody shout justice.
Justice!
Justice!
Hold up your hands if you're with me. Somebody shout justice.
Justice!
Hold up your hands if you're with me. Somebody shout justice.
Justice!
Everybody after 3. 1, 2, 3.
Justice!
Justice!
Justice.
Just us, so make a fist.
Justice!
And it's all right to cry. You don't have to keep it inside. We're living in trying times. No one said it was easy. Coronavirus and racism are like global diseases, but I just know when I'm speaking. If we unify, we can beat this until they respect the civil rights of our people. Not all whites are racist. Not all blacks are criminals. Not all cops are bad. The scales need to be equal. No, wait, hold on a minute. No if, buts, or maybes. If we don't work this out, who will explain it to our babies? To the ones who were prejudiced without saying it to our faces. This is a physical representation of the pain we've been facing. To the people who fought for us, to the names I didn't mention, your legacy is close to my chest like a pendant. It's our responsibility to honor our descendants. No more not guilties for vigilante defendants. That's that piece.
What a way to open. What a way to open. That is... If you haven't got the fire in your belly now, shut, man. Shut. Anyway, no stopping at all. Over to Nashville. Sommer.
All right. I hear blood screaming from the ground as bullets have penetrated bodies during ranges of 20+ rounds. No provocation, no reasonable cause. Constantly, the law breaking the law. Unarmed and unthreatened. Murders on live with morals and intent unquestioned. We watched for 8 minutes and 46 seconds. A man plead, I can't breathe. I can't breathe. Oxygen restricted by a knee. Oppressor's hand in his pocket so comfortably it changed the scene. This wasn't TV. A murder had been televised. George Floyd, Eric Gardner, Elijah McClain, they should all be alive. I hear blood crying from the earth. The killing of Breonna Taylor still hurts. Home resting from the long of the day. They opened fire and never even saw her face. For 20 minutes she lay after multiple shots took her breath away. Atiana Jefferson played video games. Officer never said a thing, not even his name. Scoped out the place and what was supposed to be a welfare check turned out to be a fatal day. See, even in our own homes, we ain't safe. Stephon Clark shot down after dark in his grandmama's yard. They say he had a gun. Only it was a cell phone in his hand. No indictments, they take life and they're justified. Khalif Browder had been traumatized for no crime. Pain so deep he turned to suicide. Sean Reed streamed alive. Overzealous enforcers shot out his eyes. His teeth were all his mother could recognize. Meanwhile, police laughed about in a closed casket after he died. I'm hearing blood cry. As killer cops pretend to be terrified while they terrorize, leaving out facts and spreading lies. Unarmed Black men and women who are victimized become criminalized from evidence falsified. It's crazy. Blue blood so ruthless, they snatch breath from babies. And somehow the government got excuses. For Alton Sterling's blatant execution. For Jordan Davis being murdered over loud music. Mike Brown had his hands up. I'm hearing blood cry from Terrence Crutcher. They say he looked like a bad dude, that he was on something too. Well, how come the white boys with AKs hopped up on cocaine can murder us massively, yet they've declared insane? See, they keep playing these games, cops and robbers. The cops are the robbers and we're the bait. We never get a chance for arrest. They pull us over and they already vexed. Seem like they wake up ready to put our people to death. I'm hearing blood cry. See, Trayvon should have made it home that night. As he walked, someone followed, pulled a Kel-Tec PF9, one shot fatality, and the crime was justified. Ahmaud Arbery jogged for good health, preserving his lungs. But supremacists chased and blasted 3 times with a shotgun, stripping mothers of their sons, killing generations before they exist. We like the Israelites enslaved in Egypt. All we want is freedom, to live, to not be a hashtag or a statistic, to walk in stores, to exercise in our own neighborhoods, to not be terrorized, dehumanized, and demonized. We want freedom to long life, to not be brutalized, to not die because our color is a crime. We want our children to have more than growing up and hoping to just be alive. All we want is freedom. Thank you.
Go again, Sommer.
Oh, it's me again. Okay, right. Ooh, okay. I've been grieving with the global community of African-American kings and queens as we watch too many sons and daughters, too many mothers and fathers, too many wives and husbands, aunts, uncles, nieces, nephews, and cousins, our loved ones. We watch too many best friends and colleagues, too many educators, advocates, and leads be executed by trigger-happy, hateful police and pretend police and neighborhood watchers and random racists who destroy life in order to reign supreme. It's so extreme. We watched our loved ones get shot down and be left in the street, that we're denied the basic human right to even breathe. We watched vividly our Black men plead for a mere breath gifted by God, yet be remorselessly taken by killers dressed as cops. When will it stop, this bloodlust, this open season against us, this use of excessive lethal force when we've got our hands up? When does it stop, this disgust of those who have eyes to see and choose to be blind? We're nauseous of our life song resulting in another sad hate crime. I mean, sad. It's like we're looping in agony on a bloody racist hate track. Just turn the song off, put it to an end, throw the whole race hating radio in an ocean plug in. We're sick, drained of the hashtags, exhausted of saying their names, bleeding crimeless depths while murderers get to walk away. We groan with raw, indescribable emotion and we plead, yet they do not take heed and have us bound by the neck under their knees. Get off, I can't breathe. We can't breathe. A bird watch in the park, a walk home in the dark. We can't own a home in the suburbs. Can't fall asleep drunk without an imminent murder. Can't sell cigarettes or CDs. Shawty can't sleep without non-knocking, plain clothes wearing Ku Klux cops opening fire and forcing entry. Can't comply with law enforcement without them pulling their piece and justifying blood in the street with I feared for my life while they were running from me. See, it's hurtful that being Black is so criminal that even with our hands up and backs turned, they still fear us though. And when they see us, they still don't see us though. The truth is that our Black power does not equal white oppression, yet they enslave us. No, our Black love equates to white hate, yet they hate us. And unsurprisingly, their white power results in a hardened heart hatred for people trying to make it. Among obvious and hidden races, see, we're angry about Black and brown bodies riddled with bullets. We're angry about Black and brown bodies asphyxiated over petty crimes while there are no consequences for the culprit. We're angry about Black and brown bodies found hanging in trees, about Black and brown bodies found lifeless after encounters with police. We're angry at how they can so-called create laws to defend us, yet keep the killers on the street. We're angry how they carry guns at their waist, but perceive our cell phones and hairbrushes to be the same. We're angry that our hair twisted up in locks could be means for getting shot. See, this criminal justice system is blotched with stereotypical mythical spots of thought and perception of those who look like them not. See, we always look suspicious, assumed to be resistant, gasping for air, and they still won't listen. See, we're livid, fearing for our life. We're not trying to be defiant, just want to make it home at night, because we could still be victims if we do everything right. License, registration, no drugs or broken taillights. We just die for not being white. The truth is, the silence of the non-racist American is loud. They're real quick to say they love Black people, yet they won't speak up or speak out. They see nothing wrong because that's their choice. And they're silent because they're deaf to our voice. But somehow we've got to be encouraged. Be encouraged that God sees the blood of his people spilled in the earth. That he's not just sitting on his throne watching us hurt. We've got to be hopeful that those who have eyes to see will finally see us. That those who have ears to hear will finally respond to our pleas for a gift granted to all of humanity. We must believe that there are advocates on the way who do not and will not allow themselves to be persuaded by false stigmas nor be deceived. And to those who are the sound of the voiceless, the more you speak, the longer we breathe. So keep speaking so we can keep breathing. Thank you.
Woo! Woo! Take a breath.
I need one.
We won't. Let's go over from Nashville to Croydon.
That was incredible. I just want to say that both of them are incredible. Incredible, Sommer. This poem is called Kneel. I'm going to get straight into it. You have the right to remain silent because your words are powerful and can be used as more than a means of expression. You have the right to remain silent because your words, if used correctly, can spin evil from those in power. They will strip your rights from you during arrest. Even arresting duress is not applicable if you have too much sun in your system, as you have burnt your rights when you acquired melanin. So never mind your business. Their business is to enact what your mother told you during times of play. I brought you into this world so I can take you out of this world. And the Lord does not want to uphold you anymore. Boys in blue showing they are colorless. Every Black man's height is 6 feet. A subtle skin tone that's not good enough to walk the streets, but good enough to be dormant under someone's knee. Good enough for the chokehold, grappled, get down to the ground, because that wallet is a weapon. And the baritones in your voice under the pressure of white privilege is making the police feel nervous. Different circumstances breed different intentions in their 21 gun salute. Every shot that rings makes us a memory and a meme, and I wonder what you'll view first. Everybody wants to speak after the matter, quick to hop kins like Katie and cause a social storm, but during the matter, you only see brutality on camera. At the bottom, they're screaming, stop the violence, but at the top, are they willing to stop the violence? History has shown that Black people have made examples of technological breakthrough in each era, yet we're being made an example of. Why does another soul have to be lifted through the bondage of their body? Allow Black to be viewed with extreme caution, that our rights to be human is being taken away. Human rights is not a choice, no matter what Kanye says. You persecuted the knee that Kaepernick kneeled with, yet this white man's knee was really causing a hurt. So the pressure that was exalted onto George had him needing support from those around. Camera footage showed the accounts held when it's human rights that have the right to make sure their actions are right. So I don't care what camera held these accounts. It's this officer that has to be made accountable. Play role reversal and see the media stream to red with hatred if a Black man kills a white person out of racial hatred. Or wait, just wait, that happened. Mohammed Noor was given 12.5 years for accidentally shooting a white woman. His Minnesota police department said he should not have acted out of fear. He should have better assessed the situation. What would it take for the ears above to listen? Another million man march for the million died. Do we have to walk a road like Forrest Gump before you see the wrongdoings being set? How many more of us are going to be put in the dirt and displayed amongst t-shirts? How many more of us are going to have songs portrayed about us that we cannot join in singing? How many more of us will become sub-martyrs for a subconscious cause called Black? How many more of us will be buried too early because our life is nothing but a pawn as life is released from our chest? But now they want to talk about looting, to take the focus away from the main crime. It's another protest to my protest because Black Lives Matter only seems to matter after the Black man dies. Togetherness does not come in posts and memes. It comes in action. Movement within the times means move within your means. Hopefully solidarity will come when both ethnicities start to see that melanin should not equal rights to live. We should equal rights where we live. Stolen civilizations brought for labor. So whether it's Democrats or Republicans, conservatives or labor, we should not be labeled as mathematical terms. Statistical pleasures in a numbers game, meaning less than. Well, my views are more than, and I don't need cryptic clues for my brothers and sisters. I am not Malcolm X over Y. Someone gets to the ground, we decide to stand up. Someone gets got knocked down, we decide to stand up. Someone gets gunned down, we decide to stand up. Instead of flipping to hashtags, flip your mindset to whenever we stand up with us. Whenever we rise up with us. Whenever we band together with us, and show the racial hatred and systematic fortitude that we will fight your attitude no matter how many angels are being called back. The time for peaceful protest has been dispatched, and there's no one on the other end of the radio. So instead of over and out, it's just over, then out comes a modern day version of pitchforks and fires. Because back in the days, that was also a legal form of protest. So the statement, I can't breathe, I can't breathe, I can't breathe, will no longer be held amongst one's breath. I will let every inch of my lungs expand past its limits and breathe out every cry that was snatched from every life that was captured for every moment that was suppressed by every contract that was signed in society's blood over the backs of the ethnics who stayed silent. Don't ever think that the time that passes between deaths means it's a time of peace and silence. So you thought it was done. Can Ferguson tell you the same thing? No matter how much passive I emit till I become aggressive, no matter what I'ma do, Diallo will always be seen to them as Diablo. Send 2 roses for Antoine Rose II. You will never be forgotten. Neither are you, Tamar Rice, because it seems Mike Brown complexion complicates society's simplicity, cocooned in white supremacy. And whether it's TV screens or newspaper print, we like Sarah read and absorb information with free will, displace our distaste at the fact that we've lost a part of our smiley culture. Let me breathe. That's what should have happened to Eric Garner. And again, life was not supported when they failed to give Eric reason. So when we turned up for Pamela Turner, it turned out that apparently our rights is something we have to prove. Fight for black, no matter your position. Spine. Blacks have been holding the L between our backs, and it took darkness to descend to the ground for the world to believe that this is Floyd's son. Rise. So the life of a black man only seems to be relevant through the line of a hashtag, which means my life doesn't matter unless it's being hashtagged, and then you perpetrate that all lives matter except for the black colored man, yet the color black is made through all colors. You see, Black Lives Matter. Move forward this movement. It's meant to move people forward in unison until Black Lives Matter becomes less of a slave cuff fact and becomes everyone's way of life. Listen, don't be mad you don't have a movement. Be happy you don't need one. Yeah, that's me.
Whew. Take a walk. Let's give all 3 of our eyes just a massive whoosh, tremendous round of applause. And if it's only to take a breath, if it's only to realise the state we've got us in, the state the world's in. And I was looking around, I see 3 new authors, 3 ongoing, well, sort of authors that I've put together. Today, I got come through the post, I got this t-shirt, thank you, D. Let me go to the back. Then I opened this up and I was a bit worried because I thought it was a debt collector, knock at the door. And it said Trace. And I thought, hey up, this is my COVID calling. But it was. It's from Georgia Priest, an artist. And it's one of the reasons why we do this, and I read from a book. Priest explores the relationship between UK government and the public, focusing especially on the police as a weapon of the state and the treatment it marginalised communities with the times of political unrest. And I could go on, but I was blown away. Oh, she can stroke her hair. Thank you, Georgia, for Trace. I would talk about Alison's and Dee's as well, but I'm gonna read you this. The reason why it's called Say It Louder. It's Say It Louder because silence roars. Silence should be condoned. Silence breeds hate. Don't just tick the box. Yeah, Facebook, tick. Black Lives Matter, tick. Don't just tick the box, get out the box, exercise your tongue. Your silence articulates. Take the form of a powerful storm, like Sommer, like Rohan, like Quinton. Take the form of a powerful storm and make sure your silence roars. And this is why we call it, we do say like we want to make it roar. We want the books, the poems and everything that come out. We don't want them just to stay on a Facebook text. We've got them making a difference. I've got, later on the interview, Gregory, is going to tell you all what's happening on October the 10th. That's just shocked him. But I just want to ask, because that's the individuals. I'll start with Quinton. What inspired you to write that poem, those poems?
I wrote Together We Rise purely because we got to a situation where there was too much. It just felt like it was too much. I think because we were on lockdown, in lockdown, I think that we were less busy and less rushed, and we were consuming more imagery, and I think the timing of the tragedy of the loss of George Floyd and how it was kind of beamed out across our devices on TV, it's just almost I don't know, it touched me in a way that I've never seen anything like that. You see kind of footage of shootings, and obviously every loss is just as important. But I felt that the time, just the whole, literally 8 minutes, okay, and the way how the officer was almost nonchalant when he was kneeling on his neck, and almost just as if to say, what are you going to do about it? Almost, I can do this. I'm in this position to be able to do this, literally, and I'm going to continue. Even and people were pleading with him to just get off. What are you trying to achieve here? He's begging for his mother. So it was really emotive. I mean, I could go on and on, like the whole thing. I couldn't watch it at first. I'd seen like a clip, and I couldn't watch it. I literally had to get into the mindset to be able to watch it. And as a poet, and like I said earlier, being someone who can possibly try to articulate the thoughts and feelings of society, I felt it's a responsibility. I think it's a responsibility. I haven't got the quote, but Maya Angelou said it's an artist's responsibility to articulate the thoughts. Forgive me, I haven't got the actual quote to hand, but it's along those lines, and I do feel it is a responsibility.
Thank you, Quinton. Honestly, we felt your emotion, and yeah, we felt the emotion, and I think after today, if anybody just been standing there watching Loose Women or the adverts, they know it. Together we're going to rise. Some a slightly different question. Found your question sheets. All right. What are the things that make you passionate about creating change?
Are you asking me?
No, I'm going to Sommer now.
Okay. Well, you've always heard that saying, if you are not a part of the change, you're a part of the problem. And it's like Quinton has mentioned, as artists, we offer something that creates change. We as creators, like I mentioned before, we can articulate something in a way that other people can't. I'm using it kind of as an example, but if you go back in time when Micah Williams, or whoever the guy was in Dallas that shot down all those cops in Dallas, that was anger. That was somebody who could not articulate what he was feeling, so he did what he felt like, and that was killing cops. Unfortunately, he lost his life in doing so. And for us as artists, I think that we're free spirits in the sense that we're creative. However, I think that we're also reserved when it comes to emotion, because like you, Quentin, watching that murder live, because that's what it was. It was, I mean, it was something that I had never thought would ever happen. Like, I'm young, you know. What's crazy is that my parents, they're looking at it and they're like, man, this ain't nothing new. It's sad that it happened like this, but for people who are my age, you know, 30s and below, we're sitting back here like, oh my God, this ain't even a TV show. This is real life. And we're watching it, and we're seeing a cop ignore the pleas of the crowd around him and of somebody that's dying. And you know, we get so frustrated, and we literally feel like, fuck the police. We don't mean to be so aggressive with it when we say it, but we're so mad because it's like, you're killing us. We ain't done nothing to you. You're just afraid of Black intelligence. You're afraid of Black creativity. You're afraid of Black people becoming something. If you research in the Bible, when the new Pharaoh came to town that didn't know Joseph had all the Israelite baby boys killed, they killed the seed because that's what they carry the seed. The men carry the seed. If I want to kill a generation, I'll kill the seed. And that's what they're doing. They're trying to, it's mind-boggling, and it's angering that they're so nonchalant and blatant about it. That's the frustrating part of it. And not only are they blatant and nonchalant about it, but we have leaders that are above them that sit back and say, oh, well, I don't know. I don't see anything wrong. We got to see what happened before the video. What you see is two police who shot down Alton Sterling while he was already restricted. What you see is Tamir Rice playing with a toy gun and shot down seconds later. What you hear, you hear. Okay, that's it. But that's what inspired. Because I mean, that's change. We got to be a part of the change.
Exactly. That's a great message. Just for everyone, please write in the chat. We will be saving the chat, but you can save the chat yourself. So if you've got things to books, promote, or events, but also to keep in contact with the artists, or you've got something to share, put it in the chat or put it on the Facebook Friends of Say It Louder Facebook page. This event is being taped, so don't think it's just this people you see in front of you. This is going to go global. Well, it is going global. And with that, I've got one more question for you, Sommer. Then I've given Rohan enough time to catch his breath. Is right, because before lockdown, we have never met.
Right.
And when I first did an open mic in Nashville, part of I was stage struck, and also was what people relate. Some people didn't think in England we had a racial problem because it's so consuming over there. So the question is for you, but also I ask it if any of the guys from across the sea want to answer this. Is like, have global issues helped you to understand what's happening to the Black people in your local area, and what do you think we have learned from each other? I know I've learned lots from every single one of you people in your Celebrity Square window. Okay.
So first thing to lead into the answering the question is I remember reading Langston Hughes's book, the Big C, and he talked about how he got to Africa. You can't hear? You hear me? Can you hear me? Okay. So he talked about going to Africa and how the Africans saw him not so much as being Black, because to be Black meant that you was just like 100% straight up Black, right? And where we're from in the US, all you got to be is like 3/5 or whatever they said it was Black. And so that being said, I think that what we're learning from each other is that regardless of what percentage of Black or African or whatever you possess, we're more alike and enduring the same struggle, just in different parts of the world, and studying slavery across the earth. You know, you in the United States, we were dealing with cotton, right? This is what they was doing. But if you go across to South America and even to the Caribbean, you're talking about rice and sugar cane. The slaves were still brutalized and abused and everything. We're all going through this. It's just different parts of the world. And I think sometimes we make the mistake of trying to compare life in the US with life somewhere else. And like somebody, like you guys are from the UK. I'm like, oh shoot, I'm coming to the UK. Get me up out of here. But y'all got the same dilemmas that we got. So it doesn't matter where we go across this world until people who don't look like us see us as human like them. It's going to be going on. That's it. There's no fixing it until they start to see that we bleed red, just like you do. If you shoot a white kid, he's gonna bleed. If you shoot a black kid, he's gonna bleed. You're taking them from their mothers, regardless of race or ethnicity. So I think that we're learning essentially that we're more connected and more alike than we thought we were. We spend so much time degrading one another and saying, you can't fool with such and such. We got all these stereotypes. Asians can't drive. Mexicans will work anywhere. Black people like chicken and watermelon. There's always this something, right? So it's a matter of us realizing that we're going through this together. And then the pandemic just happened. We literally going through this together. We're all bound. We're all stuck somewhere for good health. I'm here to tell you, can't nobody come to my house. I got asthma and I don't need the problems. So, you know what I'm saying? It is what it is. But this pandemic, I feel, should be showing us the truth, the core of what's really wrong. And it's merely hatred. It's trained hatred. Someone's trained them to hate us. That you don't just wake up and say, I hate black people,
Now you can see, ladies and gentlemen, why I picked I'm honoured of having these three young, active people here. Rohan, how you doing? Thanks. I'm sort of blown away. No, the thing is why I'm blown away, because I think it was Mervyn said about English media. And at the moment, BBC, or as it's now called, Bumper Clark TV, is, and ITV, they have so many transparent, non-individuals talking about issues of race, and they just touch it like a little brush.
I want to touch on that later on. I want to touch on that later on.
Yeah. So, Brian. And Rohan, they'll never astound me, but your question, we have thought about this one hard. This is one for you. Actually, we tell a lie. We knew exactly, we wrote this question weeks ago for you.
Oh, God.
So, all right. What do you think are the most urgent issues facing black people in your area?
If I'm honest, I actually wrote this down, It's identity versus intervention. Like I do resonate with what Sommer said. Like I feel like in England, I feel like we've started to understand who we are as a people, yet the action doesn't marry to the understanding. So for example, like we all know that we came from kings and queens. We all know this. Yet there are many people, and it's not even just black people, I'm talking about humans in general. There are many people that still act a certain way, still feel like they have to throw derogatory statements. And I actually came across a line the other day that said, you make people feel weak to make yourself feel strong. And you can put it in the same context, like you're racist towards people because one, you have the limited or no understanding of that people, and two, you want to make yourself feel higher than someone. It doesn't make any sense. And I feel like as black people in England, I feel like there was a point where we lost our identity, and I feel the media had a main part to play in it. I feel like gentrification has a huge part to play in it. Adhering to stereotypes to fit in with popularity also has a huge part to play in it. And these things are still going today. It's not like it's just disappeared. They're still going today. But now that we're starting to see our identity, we're starting to understand ourselves a bit more. I feel now that intervention must come into play. We need to act on it now. We need to act on our understanding. You know, we need to not adhere to stereotypes. Do you know what I mean? Like Summer was saying about black people eating chicken and watermelon. Like, who cares? Do you know what I mean? Like, so what if they eat chicken and watermelon? Who cares? Why is that even a stereotype? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I know many black people that are vegans and vegetarians. They wouldn't touch chicken to save their life. So I feel like we need to now start moving forward with action and start putting in place action that will not only benefit ourselves but benefit our kids, because we're not just fighting for us. We're fighting for our lineage. We're fighting for the next line of people that are gonna come after us. I could go on, but I'm gonna stop there.
All right. Good round prize for all the three artists there, guys. If any of you feel you want to ask a question now, but you don't want to ask the artists, please put it in the chat. Please put it in the chat and we'll address it. It's so, to me, those three artists have just made so much sense, but yet all our government do is like, we'll have an inquiry, we'll write a report, and we'll write another inquiry and write a report. So, and we do need action. That's what Say It Loud is about, and we need action. I'm going to come back to Rohan at some point, and right at the end, and see what action shall we take. Because I really do not want another inquiry. I really do not want another report. I want action. So let you all think that. I'm going back to the poetry now and to fun time. I've counted the people here, and we've got 50-50 split between USA and well, I was about to say England, but I can see somebody from Ireland. So we've got a 50-50 split. So, and they say the special relationship is gone. You don't have to have white bumbled hair. All right, Rohan, are you ready to delight us more by two more of your wonderful company?
Yeah, I did. I only did one poem last time. I'm gonna do two poems.
You did too. If you don't stick to the agenda, but everything you say is on the agenda.
Well, of course. The first poem I'm gonna do actually relates to systematic racism, which we all know it exists. It exists in every country. But this one is in relation to football, in this country, which, correct me, Sommer, you call it soccer in America, right?
The one that you kick or the one that you like throw? Like which one you mean? Like kicking or throwing?
The one that you kick.
Okay, yes, soccer, yes.
All right, cool. So for any Americans, they call it soccer. We call it football. We call it football. I want to get that right. I don't want people to get confused. You know what I mean? And just to shout out, there's an organization in England called Kick It Out or Kick Out, and they actually work with many football leagues to try to stop racism in football. So this poem is called Colourful Sport. Kick racism out of football. That's what the talk is about. How can I, when my brothers and sisters play in the fields that you nickname stadiums, put in the cotton, ball in the net for my masters? I have to master my skill whilst they utilize my skill. But you see, the crowd is the one with the say. The stadiums are no different to the coliseums. Remember the gladiators? Well, those were the slaves of their day. So how do I drip out racism from football whilst injecting colour into the play? You see, they take my people and brandish them in the image and lights of the branded rights and spotlight you for the masses of hatred that is embedded into the fabric of football society. Taking the love of your art form and painting it with blackface. They love your skill but hate your skin. Make you tug of war between your residency and your origin. And all the while play the puppet strings while hoping your blackface melts to show that lighter blend. Discriminate until you disintegrate, taking away your melanin until your mind has been mellowed in and you can recite those pre-written bars to the media till it seeps into the fabric of your muscle. And that's before you try to kick it out. They would rather kick out your blackness. You're a servant to the game, where pain is brought if the shade of your shade doesn't match the skill set. They may heckle your desire to play, but don't assume that the words are only skin deep. 90 minutes can leave the fans bereft of breath. I guess those monkey chants will knock the wind out of you. You see, we grew up with sticks and stones may break my bones, but nah. Sticks and stones may shelter the outer shell of a man, but words will disintegrate your mental stability. So play the offside trap whilst they play that your skin is trapped between your rights and what's right. And all they can do is tell you to hang back. Don't you need your club to enter with you back to tackle discrimination with every counter attack? Separate organizations are giving you a subsidiary hope of achievement. Taking aim like David's slingshot against the Goliath you play for, you wait for, you play for. So when Sterling signed his contract, making his AK his firing leg, it gave him license to shoot, not license to kill. Not every black man is a thug criminal. So Sterling, as you take your shots with your gun, knowing full well that you are not a defender, running around to the sound of the opposition chants, I know you just want to play football. So why do they view you with curious eyes like you're George? Now, even when they stand with you, you're still seen as odd, ready to attack you with passive blaze for your back. Assassinations of attack. They smile with the emphatic innocence of a child, but the dark secrets are covered up like a nursery rhyme. FIFA, faux fun. I smell the blood of a football scum. We cannot get past the skin to see the skill. Lukaku, was it really worth the mills? Was it €1 for one banana? Was that the clause in the fans' ticket deal? Did they back you up for real, or did they back you up to fill into your skin into the Milan mix and ask yourself, does it blend well? But now yellow cards are being issued for a foul whilst they throw yellow banana skins to issue that you are foul, but the scars get deeper when the red appears. You see, they walk away with boos and sometimes cheers, and the pundits condemn us for a foul action, but on the streets, there's no walking away when the red appears. Being bathed in red till our skin turn reds, and the only media comments you hear is a reflection of racism buried skin deep. You see, you've been bathed in the blood of racial hate. Your liver cannot clean this pool, burnt with charcoal skin, and the only way for you to fit in is to stand as a man united. But on the other side of the city, where the sky is blue, you can reduce your darkness to get that money up. And no matter how many times you sing like the canaries wishing for greener pastures, we know your color is just too dark for the yellow sun. All you wish for is a brighten future, dreaming of unity when you see stained black and whites in Newcastle. They don't think of you as diamonds, only crystals, and make you believe you live in that palace. But when it's time to stand for black, just remember they always have an alternative shirt. So as you play the field, Negro, watching them come with an arsenal, and you stand united, perceived as a devil in a shirt, they will always stoke the flame of the games, hang back and watch as the wolves come, reimbursing the field, Negro. They're going to throw plantations that they stole at you. We're going to make him feel like his cousins are in the crowd, like Darwin's theory only applies to the blacks. When you stand in the field playing box to box while you feel boxed, just remember the value of who you are. Your skin and your skill are two different credentials. So when you run off to the sound of protest in your hearts and racism in your ears, just make sure you're not running your whole life. That's one.
I'm sorry to say, guys, that's my favourite poem. It's got my tooth. It's got activism and football in it. That's all I need. Throw me in a bottle of whiskey. I'll leave you to it.
Gary, you crack me up, every time you crack me up, man.
Honestly, yeah. My favourite team's Chelsea, but I know they're racist, but hey.
Oh God, Gary, we can't be friends after this, Chelsea. Oh God.
Oh, you're a Palace fan, aren't you?
No, Man United, man.
Man United. Yeah, but you look such an intelligent boy.
We'll do this after the show.
All right, I'm going to throw you a bit of trivia, Ryan. Back in the days when I used to work in youth offending.
I'm young, I'm young. Don't go past the 90s.
I'm older than I look. I found a grey hair today, and someone said, cut it. I said, no, it's the only one I got. But when I was in youth offending, I used to go to a place in Leicester prison, a youth prison called Glen Parva.
Yeah.
And I did a straw poll. It wasn't scientific. I can't believe Dee's a hatter. Well, I suppose she's from Luton. I worked out that 8 out of 10 offenders were Man United supporters. Need I say more?
Get the hell out.
And this is government adjusted data.
Oh my God, I don't even know what to say to that. Like, I got no idea.
All
That
right.
was probably like before the 90s.
Yeah.
Probably before the 90s. But yeah, this next piece looks at. It's funny that you were talking to Summer about like the differences and the similarities between England and America. And again, I'm looking at systematic racism within this poem, and it talks about England being systematically racist. And what I've done is I've linked it to a game which in essence is actually quite it, quite systematically corrupt, even though you don't really register it as a child. And I'm not going to tell you the game, but I know you're going to guess it anyway. I'm not even going to tell you the title of this piece. You'll guess it straight away. But I'm going to go in. I'm going to go in with this piece. Being black in Britain is a monopoly, a commodity of mono, no chrome. I'm not spreading this coloured man's mind. Display the truth only in black and white, because Black Britain is a game board of pieces you can't piece together. I feel like we always have to take a chance. Black culture is being breathed into the community chest, but we pay the reparation toll for their free parking. There are no get out of jail free cards for the black youth and the older minds. Prism systems profiting over my skin color, trading my skin for boxes with bots. The old Kent rode their way to freedom only to be wind rushed back to reality. Automatically, we look to the heavens. Preachers and pastors praying together in segregation of religion, black churches, as if we were subconsciously told not to enter their white chapel, but made to digest colonial books of white African Israelites. 40 days in the desert and you couldn't even catch a suntan? Evidence shows that angel is licking tongues of devilish disguise. Houston, we have a problem, because my skin has always made me feel like I'm living on the outskirts of a borrowed land, a land that is systematically dependent on vilifying minds against the shades of black. So we develop a chip on our shoulder. Societal minds will tell you to pack it in, and you decide to retreat into your bag as a safe haven of flavor, where you can spill hot chips like cold facts, yet they are quick to change the narrative and tell you to stop crying over spilt milk. Being black in Britain is a race. Black Britain is a race of mispronounced names. Can't catch the spelling, but will sound it out like pow more in their Whitehall tone without even asking for your identity. Rubber stamped as gangsters, thieves, and job stealers, yet we never stole. Northumberland into devastation via xenophobic avenues. Check the design. Britain took a bow and they Bow Street names together to praise slave masters, branded statues in honor. And even if you don't know, the eyes of history will always stare at you with cold and lifeless looks, while systems tries to keep you still. So who's the real statue? You see, being black in Britain isn't so Marlborough light. There's a heaviness to the skin tone, a weight that carries 400 years of pain. We talk about the handcuffs of injustice, yet we have been slowly wrapped and shackled with growing vines in these streets. Stranded in your own self-doubt and self-worth, because the pipe dream of Britain spills more sewage as the truth becomes present. Not such a fleeting feeling being black in Britain. The negative aroma of your skin tone is set in stone and whitewashed with racial hate that got systematically more structured the higher up the social classes. Even before the days of pigeons in Trafalgar Square, we have always had to fight for our basic rights to live. I need to stop for a second. Let me track back a few places, because 2020 has shown us there's a connection. Not only does the international monopolies of countries recognize we are bored of games, but in Britain we have started to see light from the underground, connecting lines like Leicester Square, Coventry Street and Piccadilly, rejecting these Regent Street hustlers who want to prevail white privilege and austerity doses while the monarchy lay dormant. You see, it's my time to breathe, because black excellence is making its way to places of historic white privilege, places like Oxford. Circus acts to try to limit us, but they didn't count on our resilience. Blacks in Britain have never been more united than now. Bond streets with our blood and uprising mentality. Systematic regime may try to keep us parking our lane, never to stray off the path, because once we get in tune with our true identity of culture, we may fare a chance of living under a colour tone of commonwealth that sowed seeds of truth into British soil, having queens and kings cross swords with heritage to find that we have queens and kings in our blood heritage. Does that mean anything to you? I don't know if it does to Britain, So Britain needs to find a way to marry a bone cookie, mix skin and mind so the atmosphere of prejudice doesn't become a thoroughfare in the city like Fenchurch Street Station. Instead, like the liver, pool our streets to be detoxified so the blood that we can share isn't the blood red you see stained on the flags of Britain. So never tell me not to pass go. Collecting pounds of black wealth like it's the 27th of June. Electrifying my electrolytes until I discharge my energy like an electric company. I will never suppress my energy. I am not so toxic. This masculine will develop waterworks to bring monsoon seasons to these concrete jungles. My compliance should never be viewed as alliance. I don't pay income tax on freedom. You see, Black Britain is a monopoly, and I will always keep moving until my freedom is owned by my own properties. That piece is called Black Monopoly.
Absolutely amazing, Rohan. You never cease to disappoint. Before we go to Sommer, I'm going to treat you, Rohan. This is for you, and probably Clive. This is unplanned, but because this was written quite a long time ago, and it's about the first Chelsea player, first black Chelsea player, Paul Canaville. And I'm just going to find it because it's been such a long time. All right. Paul was the first black player to play in blue. His own fans were the first to monkey chant him. And boo! He ran down the hair down the wing, not to go on with frantic cheering, but to Nazi salutes and banana skins. Then one significant day, against those flat-cap Northerners, Sheffield Wednesday, Paul got off the bench when Chelsea were in disarray. He scored 1, 2, 3 goals in the cup final in May. We cheered, we screamed, this is St Paul's Day. A week later, I'm walking in South London wearing my Chelsea blue. The headhunters see me, blaze scheming, battle songs, who the fuck are you? I have been stabbed before, that's for being black, but not for being blue. They circled me, like a scene out of Zulu. Then they started chanting that victorious song I knew, a tribute to St. Paul, who may be black and blue. Thank you, Paul, for making us all true blue. That was to you. That's my little ditty. It wasn't planned, but
I like that. I like that. I like that a lot.
It's a true story. Even now, the Chelsea fans are racist.
But you know what? There's racism in all fans. Look what they did in Burnley. Do you know what I mean? Like all football clubs, like all sports teams. All sports teams have a section of racist fans. It doesn't matter what sport it is. Even bowls.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean?
I just read about. I was trying to be super cool, taking a new woman down to London. I didn't tell her that I was going to watch Chelsea v Manchester City, but I was trying to show her the sights, trying to be Mr. Cool. And then as we got down South London, that's when the Chelsea fans and basically my pants were brown. All right. Now to Sommer. You don't get Sommer texts me like 5 to 7. Can I spit some rhymes? But
listen, okay,
Sommer, what you've given us today, you can do what you want. Because
yeah. So, okay, y'all know how I said that I stand by and I live by speaking life or not speaking, right? So this piece that I'm doing is merely about our words. I do think, like, as you get into it, I'm sure Gary will talk about it later in terms of what steps to take. I think part of it is what we're saying to ourselves and what we're allowing ourselves to receive from other people. So it's about our words. So the piece goes like this. There are writings of the innermost mind which were spoken before we could comprehend it as blessing or curse. See, it all began at birth. Those words, our names, what we were called before we arrived, the message that was spoken before we opened our eyes. From the very first time, the truth or the lie had been written or spoken to our worlds, and with growth, they had been etched into the circuits of our minds. So either your future looks bright or you've been deprived, having a malnourished appetite for life. Often what's been said is what hurts the most. Bumps and bruises heal, though eating deadly words can choke. They kill, like forbidden fruit. Perhaps not a physical death, your will, perhaps not a physical death, your will to eat what the head chef gives to you, fearfully and wonderfully made fruit he has prepared for you. It does not include abuse, it does not include abuse, not as a side or an appetizer, yet it's been your entree. That's not love. It's not love. And this love is digging you into a grave. Dispose of this plate, eat of grace, partake of Ephesians 2:8. Drink from the cup of you are God's masterpiece, above and not beneath. You weren't made to be a punching bag, a doormat, a victim. You are kings and queens. Sip from this wine. 1 Peter 2:9. I'm speaking to give you life, to be kind, to point out that you shall live and not die. The instrument between your lips supporting our abilities to enunciate and articulate have so much power. It curses and gives praise. It sets fires and pain. It alleviates. It confesses truth and then it fabricates. We've got to get our tongues in shape and develop a taste for life. For we are murderers by mouth, so let us feast on kind, clean speech, because the death of life are in the power of the tongue, so be mindful of what you eat. And that's that one. The other one I would spit is more so like, I mean, I've spit it before, but I would say a little context of where it came from is that I'm a survivor and a coper of mental health, a survivor of suicide, and I'm just an advocate. I think that sometimes God talks to us in ways that we don't often necessarily want to be talked to, or we can't handle it. But He spoke to me, and He just asked me questions. I mean, I think we have questions all the time for God, but this time He had questions for me, and I'm gonna share them. So it goes like this: why are you dying? Dying trying to live for people. I mean, you hardly appease them. They seem to deceive you into thinking they need you, and so you believe them. And then they leave you grieving. See, abandonment's your weakness. Why are you dying? Dying trying to live histrionically in what could have been, what should have been, what would have been. Center thyself upon high things, for there sits the healer of all the wounds that still sting. Why are you dying thinking that this is life, and every day you're sinking into a pit of suicide, drowning in this well of depression, bound in this demonic oppression, suffocating by your own obsession and need for perfection, bleeding from the wounds of rejection when you've already been forgiven and accepted? Why are you dying living the clearance rack life, selling yourself shy when you're above top shelf value? Chosen, noted, written in the book of life, created in the image of the Most High, work of art, perfect from the start, but you out here casting pearls to pigs as they trample over your heart. Why are you dying, starving in what you want to do, consuming molded bread of the world's menu? Rebel you, why won't you eat what I give to you, hurling maggots and poison when I've given you fruit? Your beverages are bitter, your main course revenge got wicked in your belly, and venom drips from your lips as you sipping on sin. So why are you dying trying to live? Thank you.
I want to put on here can someone pass me a beer? Because I dare to move. So if anybody listening out there, anyone near me, can someone bring me a beer, preferably red stripe or a banana beer? I'm all out of coconut water. I'm absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, we have been joined we have got someone now from Australia. It's my favourite blue person. All. This week she's managed to rename Rohan Rohan Smith or something like that, but she's performing in the open mic, which I can't wait, so don't go away. Now, Quinton, I hope you don't feel like I've left you alone. Left you alone because I would like you to do a couple more pieces, but I would like you to do something in relation to what you've done with knife crime. Mm-hmm. Because what I know is only very little I know, and what you're going to do, and make sure people can follow you. Make sure it's proof that creative artists make a difference. And if you ain't got that from Rohan, Sommer and Quinta today, get another drink and I'll convince you. Anyway, over to you, Quinta. Let's type anybody.
Thank you. First of all, can I say to Rohan and Sommer, you're amazing poets, artists, and come across as really genuine, authentic people, man. It's a pleasure to be introduced to you both. Talking a little bit about knife crime and some of the work that I do. So first of all, if you could make a note, Knife Crime Victim Support on Facebook, that's our group, Knife Crime Victim Support on Facebook. And so what we do with education was we teach creative writing, like I said earlier. And so what we've done is we've helped disaffected youngsters and youngsters from adverse childhood experiences to be able to build their confidence, to be able to socialise with other groups. We work in areas like Hertfordshire, we work in Essex, we work in Oxford and Watford, sorry. And what we do is sometimes you'll have some kids from different gangs, and they're actually, you know, relating with each other, working with each other. Some of them, because they've got a bit of a background, are actually kind of scanned down for weapons before they come to class. So that's the type of people that we're working with. But I want to be able to give them a chance. I call it RAP as well. It's an acronym of RAP, which affords recognition, appreciation, and praise. Some of the youngsters that, you know, they've suffered from neglect, they've suffered from, they've witnessed violence in the home, they've witnessed violence out on the streets, they've suffered trauma. And so what we provide support and look to build what we call some of you who work with children and young people, their protective factors. Our protective factors are your ability to be around pro-social friends and to have community, to have parents, to have job prospects, to have education. Those are your protective factors, or just an example of some. The more protective factors you've got, the less risk factors you have. If you can minimize those risk factors. And so it's all about early intervention and preventative work. So often, when I work with police forces, you've got the enforcement side, or you've got the preventative side. And so we actually give some of the youngsters and some of the referrals an opportunity to work with us to help them get into semi-independent living, to help them get into jobs and apprenticeships, and to build their protective factors. Also, we can have court orders revoked and things like that. So I work with police crimes commissions and councils and young offending services. So it actually, I didn't plan this. I didn't plan that. When I first started Knife Crime Victim Support, I just felt that I didn't know where it was going. I had a vision, and I knew that I wanted to offer respite to people, to victims of crime. But then I felt if you prevent the crime in the first place, then, you know, I think that was a better way to go. That's a way that I ended up going naturally. Yeah, so I wrote a poem called Knife Sentence. This is Knife Sentence. And I'm going to thank God, because I was in a period of reflection, and I was in a period of solidarity. Solidarity is not the right word. A period of reflection and a period of solace. And God spoke to me, like you say, Sommer, as well. That's why I'm called Mr. Milise. I wrote this before I even had a name. But it said, if you speak, they will listen. I opened up a scripture. If I'm honest with you all, I was actually underneath a court in a cell. So things were really spiraling for me. And some of you may know, when you're in a court, I asked for the Bible. And every cell's got a Bible. And I opened it, and I'm telling you, hand on my heart, it said, if you speak, they will listen. And then for me, fast forward, and I've been published by the United Nations, and that's from being in court and choosing to listen to God. And so my life has changed since then, and I position myself as an example of change, because I've got a background as well, you know, and you can only be an example of change. Knife Sentence. Have we ever stopped to ask that boy that carries a knife, what he wants to do when he's older, if his parents are still together, and who his role models are. Because I guarantee you, he don't live next door to a doctor. Instead, he's more than likely to be riding with thugs. And they're the ones in the community prescribing the drugs and driving those cars. And I wonder if, as a teenager, he's watching how the olders carry themselves and it's learned behavior. I wonder if by the age of 12, he never had a father, and why? At the age of 13, he had his first balaclava. Was he ever scared? Is it that mum don't care? Is it just that she was never there? Maybe she's out trying to provide for the family. By the time she gets back, she feels tired and angry. Are the arguments at home? Is there a lack of affection? Are the boys outside offering you protection? From the youths up the road in a different postcode, the reason why you always go the long way home. So the olders on the block become your bigger brothers. Now it's almost as if you're related to each other. Gang related. Now we've got a council estate kid filled with hatred who needs to be initiated before he's fully affiliated. Is that environment just making him numb? Does he have a choice of is it safety in numbers? Because they're not meant to be your mentors. That's what we need grown men for, to lead by example and to nurture ambition, to teach discipline, to understand and to listen. And I apologize for generalizing, for coming across like I'm stereotyping, but we all need to know we are marginalizing a whole generation when we criminalize them. Who really wants to end up in prison or dying? And the social networks make it all look exciting. The way that gangs incite violence live online and it's followed by an advert to make sure we're still buying. And I'm not about to blame it all on drill, but thoughts become words and words become real. So tell me there's not a vested interest in what's manifesting when all the kids can hear is I splashed him and I chefed him, dipped him outside of his house and then left him. For his mum to find him? Have you been to a funeral and heard the mother crying? When her son's in the ground, it sounds like she's dying. And it's been like this for years, wiping those tears and printing those T's, saying, put the knife down, blaming police, writing to our local MPs. I've seen mums at knife crime rallies begging on their knees like, they've took my son, but make it stop, please. And it's our responsibility. Have you heard it takes the village to raise a child? But we're losing our community, so they're left to run wild. And this isn't the time for answers or excuses, but the youngers need to know there's consequences for their offences. Justice will be served if you're caught or let go. Because when you take a life, you forfeit your own. That's that, people. Thank you.
Quinton Green, aka Milise.
Thank you.
The thing what struck me looking at certain friends in here is that I go to lots of council meetings, and meetings with nice, which are lovely and nice, some of them, and they say we should do stuff about knife crime. Oh, after some knife crime, I read a book. Quinton is roughly about 45 miles away from where I live, and this is a resource that, and I'm pretty sure everywhere you live, near where everyone you are, there's resources what don't get used. And then something happens, someone gets knifed, someone gets... Oh, Shara.
Yeah.
Anyway, but someone, but then that resource
نه
gets taken away.
دارم غذامو میخورم.
Then the resource gets taken away. So that, let's do not just listen to Quinton Green, aka Milise. Let's you know, I employ my council leaders, our local bodies, to use this resource, because that's his passion and that's what do. I know their resources are all there.
Yeah. And if can I just say, I've got these knife sentence, knife crime victim support bands. If you wanted to help and support, we send these out in the post. They're free, but if you wanted to make a donation, you can. But I do give them out for free. So, but please do follow me on Facebook and see some of the work that we do. Yeah. Thank you, Gary.
Guys, please put the details out, because I'm trying to think. I think it was 2018 I first met Quinton.
I think so, yeah.
At Waterside Bar in Northampton.
Can you poet?
Yeah, can you poet? And I still got the sticker he gave me, actually.
You still got a sticker. Wow.
Still got the sticker.
There's some good quality stickers.
No, which really means I love clutter. That's what really means. Old bag. But no, thank you to that. Thanks for everything to do. Quentin, have you got one before we go into the open mic and any questions? What have you got? One closing message? What you want changed?
What I want changed. Did you say what I want changed?
Yeah. What do you think? What would like if you knew a changed today and you got up and you go, today is a better world.
I just think I know it's a bit of a cliche, but if everyone kind of keeps their garden tidy, then the whole planet will be tidy, right? So it's be the change that you want to see.
Yeah.
Everyone's got their own little corner. And I think, we've all got a little bit of responsibility as adults. We're witnessing things and we're often online typing and talking and a dialogue. And sometimes it's got to be more than dialogue. We've got to get our hands dirty and get down to grassroots. So get out your lawnmowers and go grassroots.
Thank you. I watched as a film. Been watching over and over and over again. Blue Fight, Blue Score, and this is about gang in knife warfare in Peckham and Lewisham, and I just thought this is so real. Close as I get in Peterborough, it's probably people not turning their lawnmowers back, but I can say I've been stabbed 3 times in my life,
Wow.
not since I've grown any facial hair. Sommer, one message you want to give these lovely people? I can see there. He's brooding to do a poem.
Yeah, the same message I've been saying. You have to speak life and you have to speak truth. If you're not doing that, just shut up. Don't say nothing. Be quiet and get your journal or something, but don't say nothing if you ain't speaking life and you ain't speaking truth.
Yeah.
And Rohan, it's nothing ambiguous with, because it's something which has all been mentioned in the chat, and it's a common factor, and I know Skylar talks about it big time, and something that's close to your heart is not just education, but is mental health, especially related to Black people.
100%. Like for me, I think it's not only speaking your truth, like Summer said, but it's understanding who you are. Because if you don't understand who you are, if you don't know yourself, you cannot know somebody else, right? So it's taking the time to reflect on who you are as a person and what changes you want. Like Quentin was saying that he was reflecting. Many people, we don't reflect. We get caught up in the rat race of life, and we're moving, we're working, we're trying to get that money, trying to secure that bag, trying to pay these bills, trying to pay off these debts, trying to feed our kids, and and we forget that we have to look after ourselves. We have to get in tune, family, you understand? Because if we keep on moving and moving and moving and moving and moving, at some point we're gonna not be able to move. We're gonna get stuck. And because we haven't took the time to understand ourselves and what we're about, at that moment when you're stuck is going to be one of the worst moments of your life, because you're not going to know how to handle yourself because you don't know who you are. So be true to yourself, understand understand what you're about, understand the changes that you want to make. Like Quentin, reflect. Take that time out. And lockdown has gave us, and in some countries is still giving us, the ability to just slow down, understand who you are, reflect on yourself. You don't have to go to work the next morning, for some people anyway, not so much for me, but you don't have to go to work the next morning, because take time to do what you want to do for yourself. Take time to know what changes you want to make in your life. Everybody's got a dream, and then they go to work and not follow their dreams. Like, it sounds cliche, but it's not hard. It just takes a bit of it just takes a bit of mental understanding, and from there, from the time you know yourself, you understand yourself. Speak your truth and let the whole world know your truth, and just create. And that is how we create change. So yeah, man, that's
Thanks, Ryan.
appreciate it.
After what you mentioned that I think it was the last site ladder, or maybe one of the pick and mix gig, and you talk about black men. Just to let you know that Say It Loud is working on putting out a program of events and stuff supporting mental health, and we're not going to rush into it. We want to do this right. So if people want to get on board with that, it's
100%, 100%.
The research is happening, and each night we sort of come home in tears, and even in there's poems we write and we just cannot do. So that's one thing what's happening with Say It Louder. I'm now going to go over, before we go into some open mic, there's two things. If anybody wants to speak to any of the artists, but even the people that see locally, we have picked half and half from UK and USA, Australia. We have professionals, poets, and people of all ages. So I'll let you think if there's a question you want to ask. I'll also tell you that one of your celebrity square box, you can see Lantern Carrier, and Lantern's agreed to do a one-on-one, which I'm just completely blown away with. It's to me, I'm a storyteller. That's how I came into this art of poetry, and King's Lantern is a storyteller I wanted to be. So watch out for when we get a date for that. And secondly, on October the 10th, I'm looking at Gregory if he's willing to speak, or do I have to speak for him? But you know, can you tell us what's happening on October the 10th, Gregory?
Yeah, sure, Gary. October the 10th, Gary asked me and Amy Hoskins here in Nashville to do a U.S. edition of Say It Louder. And we have got 6 featured speakers already lined up, working on a 7th, most of them located here in Middle Tennessee. But we're going to be calling this Say It Louder, Time for Change. And we're looking to have, just like this, a lot of international artists. And we're going to be sort of asking them what time zone they're in, to sort of give the idea of how wide-reaching you know, this message is getting out, and how many people around the world are you know, are engaged in it. But it's going to be basically this format: the first half, 6 featured speakers with the host and discussion and a little Q&A, and then the break, and then open mic. And next week, early next week, we'll be starting to post about the open mic slots being opened up. We'll be posting on the Friends of Say It Louder community page, and get the Facebook event set up and get that ball rolling. But October the 10th, 3:00 p.m. Central Time here in the U.S. is when it'll be held.
Oh, that's brilliant. We're quite looking forward to that. My next temptation is try to get this over to Australia or West Africa as I look around the screens. I'd say a massive thank you to the 3 artists. Has anybody got any questions for anybody or anything, or any things they need to get off their chests? This is where we not only say it's a safe place, but also we take it forward. Please use the chat and the so if that's the case, I'm going to sort of close the first third of the event